Well, good evening, everyone. I'm J. Lenora Bressler, and welcome to the May 23rd, 2020 edition of the Bible Delight in the Details. Today, we're going to look at a verse from Paul in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 23. May God himself, the God of peace, sanctify you through and through. May your whole spirit, soul, and body be kept blameless at the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ. So what does this verse tell us? Well, let's take it phrase by phrase. May God himself, it's a wonderful thing that we worship a God who is so personal to us, so completely intimate with us. His very name, Emmanuel, God with us. God gets in the dirt with us. He is going to do the dirty business himself. God himself is going to be at work in our lives. The master himself. He doesn't send some protege, somebody else. No, God himself came down to earth and is living in us even today. So may God himself. Now, who is this God? The God of peace. Shalom. What does it mean, peace? It's not just the absence of outright conflict. It's that wonderful relationship that you may have with somebody at a given time. Hopefully you have it with God, but you may have it at times with people where all is right, where everyone understands each other. They understand the intentions. They understand the heartbeat of the other person, and it's a glorious time. The problem is that even when you are enjoying that blessed state, you know that there's liable to be a change at some point. But with God, the God of that kind of peace, that God can hold you in that state forever because he knows you so intimately. And it's a beautiful ongoing relationship. So may God himself, the God of peace, sanctify you through and through. Sanctification is part of salvation. We are saved, and then we are sanctified. We are made better and better, conformed to the likeness of Christ. As my father, a biblical scholar of the first order, always says, that we think too lowly of ourselves in the sense of what God is making us. He is making us quite literally perfect. And we should be seeing a gradual betterment of ourselves. And the things that we don't want to do, we should do less of them, frankly. And the things that we know we should be doing more of them, quite frankly. And if we are not seeing that gradual development, not sinlessness, not perfection, but moving in, at least in that positive direction, there's something wrong. And we should be asking God to help us because we are supposed to be being sanctified. Now, what's glorious about this particular verse is that Paul says we are being sanctified through and through, meaning in every aspect. Jesus, we're to invite him into our hearts, kind of like you invite someone into your home. Well, but then let him into every room, right? Not just on the good days, but on the bad days. Not just in the things that you're willing to trust him with, but the things that maybe you hold very, very close and you don't want to necessarily trust him with because they are too dear to you. You want to keep them under your control. No, you need to give them up to God as well and let him sanctify you, literally making you like his son, perfect, ultimately perfect, through and through. And may your whole spirit, soul, and body, so everything about you, both your physical as well as your personality, as well as your spiritual aspects, may everything be kept blameless Blameless, meaning that you don't need to be embarrassed. You don't need to be ashamed. You don't need to be walking around wondering, oh my goodness, is this going to get out? Is somebody going to find out about this? You know, I honestly think, and my husband laughs at me about this, but I think one of the most cool, most wonderful phrases in the Bible is in the Garden of Eden when, and this is going to shock a lot of you because you are not going to think this is like me, that I would like this verse, but I do. When it says that Adam and Eve were naked and they were unashamed. You know, that must be really a cool feeling. I mean, but the idea being that you're completely transparent, you're completely open, everything is known, and you have nothing to be ashamed of, nothing to be upset about, nothing to be worried about. Oh, I hope nobody figures out what my real agenda is here. I hope nobody finds out about what I did or what I really think about somebody or whatever. No, blameless. You know, a clean conscience is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. It is something to be coveted. You want to talk about what you want to covet? You want to covet a clean conscience. And why and how long we're being kept in that state? Until the coming of Jesus Christ. Until the final act of salvation, the final chapter of our sanctification, which is our glorification, our perfection, finally comes to fruition. This is a beautiful wish, hope, benediction, if you will, from the words of Paul, who even, you know, across the centuries, you can feel his genuine affection and care for his fellow Christians, including, of course, us. So listen to the words of Paul and be encouraged tonight. And may God himself, the God of peace, sanctify you through and through. And may your whole spirit, soul, and body be kept blameless at the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ. I'm J. Lenore Bressler. Visit me tomorrow at 9:30 when we will have a live Sunday school lesson. We're going to be talking about what famous people through history have said about the Bible. A very different Sunday school lesson, but one I think you'll enjoy. That's 9:30 live right here on Facebook Live. I'm J. Lenore Bressler. Visit me on the next edition of The Bible. Delight in the details. Have a great day.